Hi, welcome back to Get Started with IBM Streams. In this video, I'll be walking you through how to complete Lab 3, Applying Advanced Analytics. Okay, so let's start by adding the aggregate operator and another file sync to our application. So I'm going to drag the aggregate operator in, and also a file sync. Now let's connect our filtered operator to our aggregate operator, and our aggregate operator to our file sync. And let's click Layout and Fit to Content to reorganize. Since we've already defined the schema for our filtered stream earlier, any streams that we drag out of filtered now is automatically defined to be the same as our previous one. So these two are the same. Now let's rename our stream to averaged by going to properties. And let's blank out the alias of our aggregate operator too. Let's rename our new file sync to average writer. Now let's define the schema for our averaged stream. Go into its schema properties, and its properties should be ID, our string, time, int64, and average speed, which is of type float64. Now let's tell our aggregate operator what to do. Go into its window properties, and there should be a placeholder here, which we can edit. So let's click edit. Now let's leave the default options selected, so tumbling window and number of tuples - count value. The only thing we want to change here is the eviction policy value to 5. This will read 5 tuples at once, then discard them all. And let's also select the partitioned checkbox and click OK. Now let's define what to partition by, and we can do that by adding a parameter in the parameter section. So let's go into params, add, and select the partition by parameter, and select OK. And let's partition it by ID. This means that all tuples with different IDs will have their own partition. In our case, since our averaged operator comes after we filter our data, there should only be 2 partitions, one that collects tuples with ID C101, and one that collects tuples with ID C133. Okay, so next let's go to the Output tab. And I'm going to maximize this pane just for more visibility. And now let's expand our average stream. As you can see, ID and time already have default values from the aggregate's input stream. However, our average speed is a new attribute that we just created, and we have to calculate its value. So let's do that. Let's click on Specify Value, and to make this easier, let's use Content Assist with Control plus space. And let's type in average. So the first option is the one we want. This syntax is essentially saying that whatever type you decide to average, the output should also be of that type. So for example, if you're trying to average a bunch of integers, you put that into our average function, and the output should also be of type integer. So let's select that. So now let's define what t is. Let's delete the t inside the parentheses and use Content Assist again to see our options. So we want speed because we're calculating average speed. So let's select that. Okay, let's minimize this pane. And now let's finally edit our average writer. So let's go to its parameters, and it has a file parameter already, but we also need to add a format and a quote strings parameter. And now let's give its file parameter a value of average.speeds. So it's going to write our average tuple data to this file called average.speeds. The format should be CSV, and quote strings should be false. Now finally, let's save. Okay, so now let's launch our app. Click Apply and Launch. Okay, so now that that's launched, we're finally going to be taking a look at the Streams console. This part is actually a bit long, and I don't want this video going over 10 minutes, so I'm going to be continuing the solution in another video. See you there.